I'm so excited to welcome Lindsay Liddell. She's a friend from when I was clerking at the First Judicial District Court. Lindsay, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So, I guess I'll introduce myself a little bit. I am an attorney, a civil attorney. Like Lorena said, we worked together, we clerked together at the first JD down in Carson City, and I've since bounced around a little bit in the civil world. And then in my personal life, I'm married. I've got a couple dogs. I really enjoyed traveling. Other than that, I'm pretty boring, I think. But
I don't think so. I think you're far from boring, but we'll get to know you a little bit more through this
yes,
interview. So,
yeah.
I don't know, have you ever been to summer camp or been a camp counselor or anything like that?
No, I think I did go to like a one night overnight camp as a kid through my parents' church at the time, but I didn't have the opportunity to do like big camp
Okay.
things.
Well, the
So,
reason I asked is because I used to be a counselor and I love playing games. So I have a game ready for you today if you're interested in playing.
let's do it.
Awesome. So it's called Rapid Fire. So far, out of the interviews I've done, the most questions somebody's answered is 8 questions in 1 minute. So that's the number to
Okay.
beat. Just keep that in mind.
So I
Or,
want to answer as many questions as I can in 1 minute.
yes.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
if you want to go for the least question answered, like the most thoughtful questions, I think the least numbers I've answered before are two. So if it's your choice, I think it'd be fun if you tried to get the most, but that's just me. It's totally up to you.
Get my competitive side out.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I'm going to start the timer and go. What are your study tips for law students?
Write everything down with a pen and paper.
What's your go to mantra?
Um, just take deep breaths and keep going.
What's your favorite book?
My favorite book. Uh, my favorite book. Um, uh, well, I recently read Codename Helene. Very good
Ah,
historical fiction.
awesome. Favorite comfort food?
Like a baguette with butter and some salt on it.
Yum. Where do you want to visit next?
Um, New Zealand's like my top.
Advice for students studying abroad.
Don't hold back. Explore and really immerse yourself in the culture.
Nice. What was your last purchase during quarantine?
Um, some dog enzyme paste that helps their teeth
Would you rather bake or cook?
cook.
All right, I'll count that one.
Okay.
Okay, so you got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Nice. So you're
So tied.
that. Yeah, exactly. Your competitive spirit
I'll
really
take
shined
it. You
through.
threw me off with the book one because I was like, I don't really have a favorite book like of recent, and like I think since going to college, I wasn't reading a lot, and then
Hmm.
being an attorney, like a lot of our work is reading, so I wasn't reading for fun, and just actually this past year with like quarantine and COVID, I've rediscovered like, oh, reading like fiction books for fun. That's it's a nice way to pass the time. So
Yeah.
yeah, you threw me off with the favorite.
I know. That's something I noticed too with during COVID and quarantine is that there's been more time because I was the same way. I'm like, I read every day, especially during law school. I was like, no, we read so
Mhm.
much every day. So it is it's, what is it? A refound passion? Is that even a word?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Like I
reestablished.
used to enjoy reading in high school every now and then, yeah, especially with law school and
Hmm.
then working. It's like I've spent like 70% of the workday or just my school day reading. Why I want to get outside. I don't want to read more books, but
Right.
it's actually quite nice, especially when the outside weather is not um, good to go outside.
Exactly. So, what was that book again you mentioned?
It's called Codename Helene, and it's a World War II based historical fiction about this woman who is, I think it was based on a real character named Nancy, and it's from the perspective of just this upper class woman in France and seeing like her country change, and then trying to like rescue individuals who have been like incarcerated
Mm.
or things like that. And I think at one point she like goes in and like infiltrates the like she like gathers up troops to fight against the Nazis. It's really cool, and it's just
Wow.
like young female. And so
Awesome.
I don't know, it was good.
Yeah, I'll
I
definitely have to
recommend
check it
it long,
out.
but yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. So what else is going on in life? What other ways are you kind of coping with quarantine?
I have been remodeling my house a lot. That's kind of one of my hobbies I've discovered. I really enjoy that. So we just finished the kitchen last weekend,
Nice.
and last spring we did the guest bathroom, completely gutted it, redid it. Same with
What?
the kitchen this fall/winter, and now we're doing the master bathroom. We're starting it next weekend, so
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Yeah, that.
yeah. So it's fun. Yeah, my dad, his work involves like home remodeling, and that's always been like a side thing that he does. And growing up, I was always around like remodeling, and
Mhm.
sometimes we'd go with him to like little jobs and stuff. So he comes up and he helps me, and we kind of do it together. So
Oh, that's
it's fun.
awesome. That's also a good
Yeah.
way to connect.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it really is, because
Mhm.
it's nice that I'm learning skills from my dad, that he does like very good quality work, and I
Mhm.
can see like I can look at like a Pinterest or something and say, "Okay, I like this design." But then I talk to my dad, and he can tell me everything that goes into making that. And then I'm
Mhm.
like, "Oh, maybe I don't need this, or maybe this would make more sense because it's not as much work, or it's more bang for your buck type of thing."
Yeah, that's so cool that you also are able to do it yourself. It sounds like you're very hands-on.
Yes, yeah. My husband Russ is not the same way, and so it's been kind of a balancing act with that, and making sure he's comfortable and not overwhelmed. And I mean, it's strengthened our relationship because it puts a lot of stress on it, which
Mhm.
I didn't realize it. So it forced him to communicate like, "Hey, this is really anxiety invoking for me." And but now we're at a good place with it. And like, so with working from home, I'm done at 5, and he
Mhm.
doesn't come home until 6:37. So like this week I was like, well, maybe I'll just start demoing the flooring in, in the
Yeah,
bathroom. So
why
he
not?
came home to no floors in his bathroom. So shout out to Russ for being very patient and understanding with me.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely interesting how different two individuals can be in a partnership. Because I'm more like Russ. That kind of stuff overwhelms me. And I think it's from growing up. We have this saying, my great aunt taught us. It's like the Lebanese say, let the baker bake the bread, even if he takes like 15% or something.
Mhm.
So it's the idea of like hiring the professional, even if it's costly. But my husband, Travis, he grew up in a very like DIY family, and he's like, "Oh, this needs to be fixed. Let's do it." And I'm like, "Well, but what about?" So, it's definitely a balancing act. It definitely encourages communication. So, that's awesome that you guys have been doing that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. You
Well,
get
and it's cool because it's like he really enjoys the after product.
yes.
So once, especially with the kitchen, so our whole downstairs is done now. We've done all the flooring, we tiled the entryway, and redid the downstairs bathroom as well. So he can see like how the space has developed, and it's his own, and
Mm-hmm.
he had say in the design, and so he's really happy with the outcome. So he can kind of see, okay, well, right now I don't like that the bathroom doesn't have floors, but it'll be good in a couple of months.
Right, right. Good. That's
Yeah, kind
awesome.
of making it his own, and yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm grateful just to have the opportunity to do it, and part of the reason we're able to do it is because he bought this house in college several years ago, so
Wow.
at a much lower price than the current housing market is, and so the mortgage is pretty low, and that was kind of our discussion is, do we stay in this house or
Mm-hmm.
do we go buy our own house that's going to be ours together?
Yeah.
And we just decided to stay here and remodel it. So it's worked out, I think.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
great. Remodeling, like you said, can not only is it a lot of work, but there's a lot of thought that goes into pricing and all of that stuff. Kind of what's your strategy when you're deciding, is this worth it?
So I haven't really, I'm not good at, I guess I could be good, but I don't generally create like a budget, like, okay, this project is going to be this amount. I kind of just look at it and kind of think about, okay, this is what I want. Here's this cost versus this cost, and between those two costs, do I like it more? Or just I've sourced a lot of things off of Craigslist
Mm.
too, which helps. Like brand new, my lighting in my dining area is this giant West Elm chandelier that retails like $900,
Whoa.
and someone ordered it and didn't want it, and so I got it for like $200. So I do a lot of that,
Nice.
um, which also like adds to some different stress. So like the garage will be slowly filling up with items.
Mm-hmm.
So I get things very slowly and
Yeah.
just accumulate things as I find deals, just to do it more on the frugal side.
Mm-hmm.
The same with we got a really nice vanity for the guest bathroom upstairs that was like a $1,300 vanity for like 300 or something.
Wow.
Just some place in Tahoe was remodeling and they bought it, and then they were like, no, this actually doesn't work for the space. So they, things like that. So that's
Yeah.
one way that I use to lower the cost. And then I mean, certain things like your tile, you're not going to find the exact tile you want
Right.
in the quantity you need off of Craigslist. Usually, I haven't had any luck with it. I've looked.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of stuff that you'll just need to buy. And if there's coupons or things, so I do that. And then I also like space it out. It takes longer, but I've been able to just pay as I go. So
Nice. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Versus, I mean, I think the entire kitchen maybe was around like
Mm-hmm.
$5,000 to do like the entire kitchen. Which if a contractor were redoing a kitchen, it would be probably close to 15 to 20. So
Wow. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's fun. I really like it, and it's nice to have a hobby that's not just work. And but that's one of the things that I like about my current job is that my entire life is not my job. And
Right.
so
That's
yeah.
awesome. All right. So, Lindsay, you work right now at the district attorney's office in Washoe County in the civil division. What drew you to becoming an attorney in the first place?
So the attorney idea was kind of born in the mind of just an academic advisor at a community college. I've got kind of a non-conventional history academically. So I dropped out of high school, um, and which is like kind of a weird thing to say because I'm not your typical high school dropout, but and part of it was just I am very stubborn, and I wanted to take community college classes, and I had tested into them. But my high school at the time, which was in rural Nevada, so not a lot of programs then. I think it's changed now. But they told me, well, you can only take 2 classes there, and then you have to take the rest with your high school curriculum, your PE, your art, and I was like, why? So I was like, okay, I'm just going to drop out and get my GED and go to community college. So I did that, and I was meeting with and I didn't really have a direction at that point. Like, I just wanted to go to college, or, community college.
Yeah.
And so an academic advisor was meeting with me to help pick a major and a plan. And really, I just wanted like the challenge of it. And I was like, well, I'm interested in like the legal system, maybe like a criminal justice, like maybe I want to be a cop, which is kind of funny to say, because like now in my adult personality, that just wouldn't be a good fit for me. But the academic advisor was like, well, why don't we put you, have you ever thought about law school? And I was like, well, I don't think I'm smart enough for that. Like, and so I was just kind of taken aback, and I was like, I mean, yeah, that sounds cool, but, this is 16-year-old me. So, and she was like, okay, well, here's like the trajectory and like what you would need to do. And so why don't we just put you on that plan, and you can always change it. And, at the same time, I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not, that's never going to happen. But then I just went through it. And as I got so I got my associate's degree when I was 18 and transferred up to UNR.
Nice.
I was looking back and looking at, I had gotten my associate's in criminal justice, which was a really interesting thing to study.
Yeah.
But I was looking at kind of changing my major and diversifying and looking at what interests me, and do I want to go to law school? Like, is that something I'm still interested in? Yeah. So I went back and did just internet research and looked, and really what it came down to is like, it's something that I can build a stable life out of, like financially, and not be in a similar position to my parents, which I grew up like very working class. So that was appealing to me. It's a career that has a lot of different areas. So I could do contracts, I could do litigation, I could do criminal, I could, there's a lot of avenues I could go. And what else? I think it also, in becoming like less of a teenager, more of an adult, finding what made me happy was like helping people. And so I felt like the legal field, you're helping clients get justice or get, resolve a dispute, something like that. So that was appealing to me. And yeah, so
cool. Here you are.
Yeah, I can't remember what the question was.
Oh, just
how I got from there to there.
No, you answered it. It was kind of like what drew you to the field, and it sounds like you had some guidance from an advisor in your associate's program. And I think it's really cool, though, to that you were a dropout, because I think sometimes there's just this negative stigma about people who aren't either able to finish high school or choose not to. And that's a really cool story, that just because, you knew what you wanted and you figured out a way to do it. So That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And I like the flip side of it is like I just personally dealt with a lot of like imposter syndrome, like I don't belong here
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. I started law school when I was 20 years old,
What?
versus most of my classmates were like 23 and up,
Mm-hmm.
into their 60s even, or I think we had someone in their 70s, but there's different avenues to get to where you want to go. And I think what I did was a high risk, high reward situation
Mm-hmm.
because, okay, say if I did a semester of community college, I dropped out. At that point, I don't have a lot to go on.
Mm-hmm.
I dropped out of community college. So
Right.
that I kept going. It ultimately turned out well. And yeah, I mean, it is possible. And I'm very proud of the having the community college experience,
Yeah.
and um, that wouldn't be possible if, and part of it was because the community college in Carson City had a remote campus in Douglas County where I grew up,
Okay.
and that opened up a lot of resources, and just having, like you mentioned, and those academic advisors who
Mm-hmm.
put those ideas into your head that you may not be a confident, um, strong person as a teenager, but
Mm-hmm.
someone who can recognize that there's a lot of potential here and
Mm-hmm.
push you towards that potential is,
Yeah.
I mean, incredibly valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so interesting to me how, and you brought up imposter syndrome, but how you thought you weren't smart enough. And the fact that you went to law school when you were 20 is like mind blowing. Like, I'm like, ha, like you have to be smart to get through 2 degrees and then go to law school. So, but I think you're right. You know, at 16, a lot of us, aren't confident or unsure, we're unsure of ourselves, and that's really cool that you just your journey to where you are now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I am a product of public education, and I think that that's really important. And had it not been for those types of people in my life, I wouldn't be here because, like, my dad is in the construction business, and I think his college background was he took a couple classes and ended up dropping out.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of respect for the work that he does do, but he
Yeah.
also drilled into me, as a kid too, just like, oh, I dropped out of college, I shouldn't have done that,
Mm-hmm.
and I could be other places, and that type of thing. And then my mom, is a nurse,
Mm-hmm.
but she got a associate's degree, at in nursing, and then was not able to like get certain promotions because she didn't have that bachelor's level. So she
Mm-hmm.
went back, in, I think when I was in middle school, just did night school to get that bachelor's degree. But I mean, neither of my parents had the traditional like, you're 18, let's pick your college, let's
Right.
go, tour the colleges, and let's have that freshman experience.
Right.
But at the same time, I could see how education benefited them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was a mixed experience. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, growing up that way, I could have not gone to college,
Yeah.
or, you know,
Yeah.
so yeah.
That's awesome. And so when you, after you got your associates, you went to the 4 year college, but did you only have to do 2 years to
Yeah,
get the
so I only did 2 years, and I did another weird thing just to challenge myself. I don't know, but I was like, not only am I going to change my major, but I'm going to add one. So I got
what?
two, bachelor's degrees from the 4 year. I did, economics and psychology. So
Nice.
part of that was adding in like a summer school, or summer classes, winter classes, things like that, to get to that 4 years. And looking back at it now that I'm out of it, I'm like, why was there so much rush for me? Like, I kind of wish I would have studied abroad in undergrad, or, you know, taken, at the time I was like, well, I'm a poor college student. Why would I spend any more time in this than I have to?
Right.
But there was also more things to experience on the social aspect and possibly academic in a way that wouldn't benefit maybe my grades or my major, or would push out the graduation date, but would give me like an invaluable experience of living in another culture. And you know, but I wasn't thinking like that as an 18-year-old.
So what's some advice you would give people who are thinking about going to law school, or if it's for them?
I think I would encourage them to research as much as they can, reach out to people in prospective fields, and you'd be surprised how many people are just willing to meet with and talk to younger people who are thinking about entering their field, and see what that day-to-day is like. And then also, like, there are a lot of people who go to law school just to make a lot of money, and they're really unhappy. So I would discourage those people from going to law school. Like, you have to find, you don't want to be a miserable person with a lot of money.
Right.
Like, so part of it, research into what you want to do, and maybe if there's someone who's willing to let you shadow them, notwithstanding attorney-client privilege issues with that, you know, or go to court, or, you know, something like that, to see what lawyering is actually like, and which comes in many shapes and sizes. So, but just making that informed decision and taking into account student loans and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's great advice. Could you share what you're living forward to?
What I'm living forward to. So I am living forward to the master bath remodel. That's something I'm really excited about. And that's the last big project of the house. And then it will be done, theoretically. And then our plan is to start trying for a baby once the house is done. So I'm excited and anxious and nervous, and a lot of emotions towards that, but you could say I'm living forward to it.
Awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah.
And then what are things that you love now?
Things I love now. I love my family with, you know, my husband and my dogs. And it's been almost a year now of working from home and having the COVID conditions, and I've come to a place where I do like being at home, and I've been better about just taking time for myself, and whether it's go on a walk or doing things for myself, and being more mindful about, you don't need to go out to lunch or to a happy hour or just even grocery shopping, you know, and those were things that I like enjoyed before, but now I've found peace and happiness just being at home and being still.
That's awesome. Lindsay, thank you so much for just joining me today and sharing your journey. It's been so interesting to get to know you more.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I think this is an awesome platform and fun thing to do. So thank you for making me a part of it.
Yeah, definitely. And always happy to have you a part of it. Oh, hey there. You made it all the way to the end. Thanks so much for watching Lindsay's interview. If you're interested in learning more about Lindsay's law school experience, her experience as an attorney, or her first job, go ahead and check out her playlist. Thanks again for all your support. If you have a chance, please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.